Hey guys, welcome back for another video. In this video, I'm going to switch out a Kohler Rialto one-piece tank and bowl, which back in the day were hot commodities. Everybody wanted a Kohler Rialto. Sleek looking, had to travel pretty far to get down on top of them. And as you get older, that becomes a little more difficult. So this customer requested a comfort height toilet. And after giving him some choices, we decided on a Toto model. It's the Drake model. Now, my preference was to put a 1.6 g.p.f model in, but because I'm here in New York City, we have something called Local Law 57, which says we're only allowed to put in 1.28 g.p.f bowls. And I searched around. I called my supplier and said to him, can you get me a 1.6? And he said, Rob, I can't find them anywhere. So we decided to go with the 1.28. And that's what this video is about. So stick around. I'll be right back after the intro, and I'll show you how I do it here in Brooklyn, New York. All right, so this was an old Kohler Rialto one-piece tank and bowl. Back in the day, they were famous. People wanted them. But this particular customer has had this bowl in here probably about 20 years, and it's getting a little difficult to get down that low. These were really, really low toilets, and you had a far distance to travel. And he decided that it was time for a comfort height toilet. So we're going to switch this out for a new Toto toilet. And, we had to take some measurements to make sure the new toilet would clear the toilet paper holder there. But these were very, very famous back in the day. So the task at hand now was to start evacuating the water out of the tank. And I used my little hand pump there to get that done. This tank actually had the water actually went around the rim. And a lot of the flushing action had to do with the fill valve mechanism, which actually had a tube which pushed the water around the rim to assist the flush. Some of them flushed okay, but most of them had issues. And especially when people started fooling around trying to do their own repairs on these things. Anyway, so it was time to get these bolts off, and I got lucky on the left side. This one came off. And while I was there, I said, why not disconnect the water supply? Now, the water supply was shut off actually in the closet right next to this toilet to the left were two valves which shut off the entire bathroom. So that worked out pretty good. And I did not get so lucky with the flange bolts on the right side, as you'll see coming up. So I tried, and the bolt just continued to turn with the nut. So at this point, I said, should I go down to my truck and get my multi-tool and just shear this off? Or am I going to be lazy and just go out and do it old school style with my little close quarter saw? And that's what I decided to do. So the idea here is you cut all the way through the center of the bolt, and you want to get down to the washer. Now, a couple of things you can do. You can get a screwdriver, stick it in the bolt, and see if you can hold the bolt back while you loosen the nut. Or, as I generally do, I just cut all the way down to the washer. I get a screwdriver and I pop the nut. Now, in this case here, I probably didn't get down far enough because the two sides of the nut should have just popped right off, but I had to do a little convincing, but that's okay. I don't have any place to go, so I will just hack at it. And as you can see here, half of it's going to pop off. And yeah, I mean, it's just a process. And really, there goes half of the bolt. I don't know if you saw that bolt that hit the back of the wall. And now I will pry this off, and the other half, there it is. And that's how it's done. Old school, if you're too lazy to go in your truck and get a multi-tool and cut it off. So, first inspection, I thought, oh boy, plaster, that's the way they did it back in the day. They loved to throw plaster under the toilet bowls. And I'm looking at this flange, and I said, oh my God, it looks like I'm going to have to end up soldering this thing. It's probably going to be loose. But after I started scraping away at stuff, I started to realize that I think this thing is soldered. So I scraped away at it, and I actually went and got a wire brush, and because I really wanted to see if it was soldered, because if it is, it was going to be a plus for me. And to my surprise, it was already soldered. Uh, Not the prettiest soldering job, not the way I would have done it. They peened this over and soldered it. I generally will leave the lead bend straight, and then solder a nice void around the perimeter. But this is the way they did it, and the thing was solid. The flange didn't move, so I said, you know what? It ain't broke, and I ain't gonna fix it. So we proceeded with the task at hand. And what I do next is I actually get my tank prepared, as you'll see coming up here. And, just a word to people who do this, I always use putty on the bottom of these bolts before I put them in the tank. Now, a lot of guys are going to say, that's ridiculous. There's no need to do that. I've been doing it for as long as I can remember. And I don't get callbacks because the flush bolts are leaking, excuse me. And as you can see, the putty there squeezes out. And then once I put my washer on and tighten my nut up, I'm absolutely 100% convinced that I'm not going to have any leaks. And that's the way I do it. You don't have to do it that way, folks. Got my new flange bolts installed here. Again, this is soldered on, and the flange is pretty solid. And in this particular case here, I used a wax gasket. I'm not opposed to wax. This is a Johnny Ring Plus, and it worked out well, as it usually does. Set the tank and bowl in place, tighten my flange bolts, and now it was time to trim my bolt so I could install the caps that were supplied with the toilet. I do caulk around the entire perimeter of the bowl except the rear. I leave that open. God forbid there's a compromise in the seal. And I use a product called Pheno Seal, which is a latex base caulk. It works really, really well. And that's my preferred caulk of choice. In this case, I used white, but sometimes I'll use clear. And and then next was just getting everything lined up and getting the toilet prepared for the seat. And as you'll see coming up in this clip here, this bowl is actually equipped with a hole drilled in it because they make a bidet style seat. And so that hole's there so you can run the water supply up to the seat. But in this case here, we just use a regular soft close seat. And their seats come with a provision to cover that hole so you don't see it. And here it is. And it flushes really well. They do a good job. Toto does a really good job with their toilets. I don't know how they do it. The contents leave that bowl. I still wonder how it, with 1.28 gallons of water, how it gets from point A all the way out to the city sewer, but that's a discussion for another video, I guess. And I got a text from this customer a few days later. He was just thrilled with it. And the fact that he doesn't have to travel too far to sit on his new bowl. And so happy customer, happy plumber. That's what it all amounts to, guys. And that is the goal. Make your customers happy, and they will keep calling you back, and they will keep referring you to other people. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There it is, guys. That's how I do it. This model was a comfort height, which means from the floor to the top of the bowl was actually 16 inches. By the time I added the seat, it was about 17 and a half. And he was thrilled. He texted me a couple of days after the installation, and they're just totally thrilled with the way it's operating. I mean, Toto does a really good job of getting the contents out of the bowl. I still have my doubts. I mean, when plumbing systems were designed, tank and bowls were using anywhere from 3.5 to 5 gallons of water for a flush, and that was plenty of water to move the contents along down the plumbing system and out to the street. Does 1.28 g.p.f do it? I don't know. I kind of have my doubts. I'm wondering if when you do a flush, if sometimes contents gets left behind while the 1.28 gallons just goes by the wayside. But hey, you know what?
Only time's going to tell. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, you might want to consider subscribing. Also, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. And hit the like button. It's very important to hit the like button because unless you hit that like button, YouTube basically doesn't show these videos to anybody. Again, I'm always honored you stop by the channel. I know you have plenty of choices when looking for plumbing videos. I hope I'm doing a good job for you guys. I want to say I look forward to see you in the next video. Stay well, and as always, you know what I'm going to say, guys. Let's tell them happy plumbing.